Hey there, and welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Dylan Kristy.
And I'm Don McArthur, and we have some breaking news this morning on the website regarding the case of Detective David Van Buskirk.
Windsor Police Staff Sergeant Paul Bridgeman, he's been found guilty of discreditable conduct and neglect of duty. Of course, this is in connection, like you said, to David Van Buskirk. He was charged and sentenced for assaulting Dr. Taisir Abu Hassan. I think that was April 2010.
Correct, yeah, in Jackson Park.
In Jackson Park, he mistook the doctor for a man who had approached his daughter while she was playing tennis. He responded and assaulted him really assaulted him. So, of course, Bridgman, he was charged with kind of covering that up, and today he was found guilty.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the hearing officer, we're going to roll a video clip for you, and this is surveillance footage showing Detective David Van Buskirk approaching the doctor in a parking lot. It's pretty vicious stuff. He's just down in the lower left is where it begins. And anyway, Bridgman, he was the guy who looked at this tape and then decided, one of the guys decided, look, we're going to actually charge the doctor with assaulting Van Buskirk, which of course that was eventually tossed. Yeah. And what the hearing officer here says, he's like, look, man, anybody who looks at this videotape cannot in a million years, under any circumstances, think that the doctor was the aggressor here. And what the hearing officer said, when viewed by a reasonable, objective individual, it is clear that Dr. Abu Hassan is not the aggressor.
Exactly.
And that Van Buskirk, he had made statements about being struck by the officer. He said they were provably untrue. And again, anybody who looked at this videotape, as Bridgman would have looked at this videotape, as Windsor Police would have looked at this videotape, the doctor was not the aggressor.
Exactly. Now, this is the second Police Act hearing for Bridgman. He had went before earlier. He was accused of trying to broker a deal with Abu Hassan to get him to drop his complaints against Van Buskirk. He was found not guilty of that. But this is all kind of unfolding right now. Claire Brownell was at the hearing earlier today. She'll have a full story, but you can read all about it online right now.
Exactly. He wasn't sentenced today. He was just, he was convicted, found guilty on these Police Act charges. He's going to be sentenced on October 9th.
Okay.
I guess over there, Windsor Police Superintendent John St. Louis, he had a press conference with reporters at the back of the Tilston Armory. And I guess all the reporters were sort of otherwise occupied in this press conference. Paul Bridgeman, he went out the front door, but Winstar Janice,
he had the foresight. He wasn't even supposed to be there, but he decided he would pop by, and he was able to get him. So.
Exactly, because often at these things, when we try to get people, at courthouses and this sort of thing, they use alternate exits and this and that. But we staff both doors, so only the Windsor Star is going to have this for you later in the day.
That's right.
Okay, hot dog solidarity, quite a scene over at the University of Windsor yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. We told you about this yesterday, where there was only one out of, I think, the 9 food vendors on campus that were the Crocodile Grill that was open. Of course, the members that staff these are all members of CUPE Local 1001, who could potentially be going on strike next week. Just to show and stand in solidarity with their fellow CUPE members, 1393, they decided to not cross the picket lines yesterday, and so everything was closed. It just kind of happened, though, that it was on the same day that they were having their huge barbecue, and they were ready. They said enough hot dogs for about 5,000 students.
Well, yeah, and all the big guns were there too. So the students, but Sid Ryan was there, of course, from the Ontario Federation of Labor. Fred Hahn was there from CUPE. I mean, Brian Massey in all the photos, he's like kind of Where's Waldo? He's in the background, like you see Brian Massey standing there. So yeah, all the big labor guns were there, and things do not sound good. I mean, by Monday, the number of people on strike at the University of Windsor could double. And Dave Montgomery, the president of CUPE 1001, some tough talk yesterday. He says this: if CUPE 1001 goes on strike Monday, I can guarantee that we will shut the university down. We don't want to go there. We want to get back to the table and be fair. But this is the kicker. What they have on the table for us now, I wouldn't even offer it to my dead dog.
Yeah, for sure. So 1001 represents groundskeepers, custodians, food service workers. They said right now, the members that are on strike, you don't really feel the effect that much. But if they were to go on strike, there'd be no food for students. You'd have filthy washrooms, and there'd be unkept ground. So it would definitely disrupt things so much, a lot more than it is right now. Wildeman, though, the president of the university, he's saying that even if they do go on strike, he intends things to be kind of normal as usual, that he doesn't think it'll disrupt things too much, but we shall see.
But even doubling the number of pickets, right? Like that's just more sort of manpower on the line. You have a more visible presence. You can be more disruptive, although, to be fair, they've gone out of their way not to be disruptive.
Yeah, exactly.
At the pickets to students and even at the football games, the Leinster football games, they're trying not to bother people and just simply get their message out. But the more pickets, it's power in numbers.
Yeah, for sure. When Brian Cross was on scene, WinStar Cross yesterday, he was talking to a number of students waiting in line. There seems to be a mixed response. There is still support for the striking members, but also a lot of frustration too, saying that they feel like they're the ones kind of being thrown in the middle, in the crosshairs here, the ones who are suffering throughout this whole labor dispute.
Okay. All right, Kurt Winkler, bless his heart, man. He's fighting the good fight on behalf of all of us here in Windsor, all us hockey fans, appealing to EA Sports to change the glitch in the game that refers the hockey game. Instead of the WFCU Center, it calls it the WCFU Center. Not getting a lot of love, though, from EA Sports.
Well, no, that's it exactly. This, of course, was brought up in 2010 with the release of NHL 2011. He wrote to them then. I didn't hear from them. He wrote to them again the next year when the issue appeared in the game again. He actually received a letter back this time, I guess, thanking him for pointing this out. I guess they did correct. Like you see the game now on the ice, WFCU is printed correctly. On the print underneath the names, it's there correctly. But still, the audio is it's not. They're not fixing it. He's frustrated. He's saying that it's this huge company. They have the means to do this. It'd be an easy fix. They could patch it through. Why aren't they doing it?
Well, exactly. And we had the figures. I might not have written them down. Anyway, yeah, they make billions of dollars, EA Sports. So throw us a bone. Here in Windsor's Susan Stockwell Andrews from the WFCU, the bank. She said we know about this and the OHL and the CHL.
Yeah.
They've contacted EA Sports. Nothing on that front. And she says, hey, whatever. We're just happy to be affiliated with the Windsor Spitfires and with the WFCU Center, regardless of this whole little brouhaha. The reality is, they're actually getting a lot of positive exposure because of this too. So.
Well, I guess so. Locally, we all know. But for people, this is a huge game. They play it all around the world, especially North America.
It's massive.
And so for people to, if they happen to choose the Windsor Spitfires for some reason, to hear the WCFU Center, then that's kind of poor marketing. No one will really notice. Or probably not care. But who knows? I don't know. If it hasn't been fixed by this point, I don't really see what's going to change.
No, and I do have to admit this. I took great umbrage with it, the other night. But I have the 2013 version of the game at home.
Yeah.
I have the 2012 version of the game at home. I played games at the WFCU Center with the Windsor Spitfires,
and I
never heard the glitch.
Wow.
So either I'm a little slow on the uptake, or I'm not sure what it is. But once you hear it, it's clear.
Well, no, it's a good thing we have people like Kurt Winkler in the world to be able to catch these things and to put up a battle. So good for him.
Exactly. Okay, and in terms of marketing campaigns gone awry, it doesn't. It's a horrible word was used, and but it's a very, very funny story. Coca Cola, they've scrapped this bottle cap campaign, trying to have fun with English and French.
Yeah, so they have this marketing campaign where underneath the bottle caps, they would have two words printed on it, one in English, one in French. The idea was that you collect these bottle caps and you can string a sentence together in English or French to make a humorous sentence. One woman, though, in Edmonton, her husband opened up a bottle, was it?
Vitamin water.
Vitamin water.
Opened up a bottle of vitamin water.
To find that it said, "You retard." Of course, not meaning the English definition of retard.
Exactly. So on each cap, they use an English word and a French word, right? So
English being you.
Yeah, exactly. So in this instance, you, and then it was I apologize, my wife and daughter are French, my accent is horrible, but I think it's retard, and it means you're late, right? So that's the word in French for late. So the English word was you, then it was in French, the word was late. What are the odds, right, that it wouldn't have been as offensive if the English word had been pickle.
No, exactly.
Pickle, retard, okay, but it was you, retard, almost like it was directed, at this Edmonton woman, Blake Lotes and her family. Crazy. Actually, let's let her talk about it. She has a clip here. This is her talking to Canadian press. But they thought it was a rogue employee, and as it turns out, she has a developmentally challenged sister, which sort of only added insult to injury. But here, let's let her talk about it.
We were just eating, and he picked up he drinks vitamin water. He saw the lid and kind of showed it to me, and we were both really, really shocked. And so we couldn't believe it. We kind of didn't know if it was a joke or what was happening. We were really confused. And I kind of was like, this is Coca Cola. This is a big brand. So I shared it to Facebook, and it kind of just took off from there. So I have a sister who's 11 years old who has cerebral palsy and autism. And that word, the R word, is really frowned upon in my home. My dad was also shocked and appalled, and he was more really hurt that this could get past Coca Cola. So he wrote a letter just basically asking for Coca Cola's response, and talked a bit about my sister and her story, and it pretty much went viral on the internet. Coke has actually been super responsive. My dad talked to the vice president of Coca Cola. They've issued an apology letter that my dad and I have both been circulating. And my dad's intention was to just draw attention to this issue and show people that that word is actually quite offensive to some people.
Okay, so there was in her own words. Now she does say that the R word here, retard, is similar to the N word, and I don't agree with that.
Well, you were kind of pulling for that. You said it is really offensive.
It is a bad word.
But I didn't hesitate saying the R word earlier, and the N word, like we strictly refer to it as the N word. Like, we won't even say it there. So I say
we even have debates about whether we should put that word into news stories,
exactly.
Because you don't want to give credence to the people that are using that word. But sometimes the word is so offensive that you don't want to sugarcoat it. If someone has graffiti, or if they've used it, to attack somebody, like the word has visceral impact.
Oh, for sure. But anyways, it is a derogatory term, especially when it does hit close to home. Another word that showed up underneath of the cap was douche, which of course just is shower in French. So one word that is completely kind of docile and not offensive at all can mean something else. But at Coke, in their defense, they've decided to scrap this campaign. They're actually going as far to destroy all the bottle caps. They don't know what they're going to do with the ones that are already out there.
Well, this is the problem. Is I might go buy some vitamin water today just sort of see, just so we have something to talk about on Monday.
That's right.
So
but you never know. So another crazy story.
Okay, this has been WinStar Cafe. Thanks for tuning in.